In today's podcast episode, we're diving back into our series all about messaging evolvement. And today we are diving into level number 4. So let's do this.
Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Today we continue through the evolution of messaging, and we land on level number 4 today. And level number 4 is what I call the traction entrepreneur. Okay, so just to recap real quick, after working with thousands of students over the years, we've realized that there are 6 phases that people go through to master their messaging. And at the top is a mastery of your messaging. I call this new generation mastery. And the reason why I'm calling it new generation mastery is because it's taking mastery and moving it into this new generation of content, this new generation of doing business. And it is required. Like, if you're going to be an online business owner and sell courses and programs and run an online business, you're going to have to focus on mastery of your craft in order to stand out. Like, you don't want to be an expert in a sea of experts. And as you start to evolve your messaging, what we've seen is people will go through these 5 different levels. And what I want you to do is to recognize what level you're at. So just to recap, if you have not seen the past episodes, make sure to go and watch them. But it all starts with level number 1, which is the unheard entrepreneur who can't get eyeballs on their content. Then, even though the content's good, they still can't get eyeballs. Then there's level 2, which is what I call the seen entrepreneur. And they are getting eyeballs on their content, but really nothing more than that. Like, they're not keeping people there. They're not creating demand or any of that stuff. Then there's the heard entrepreneur. And the heard entrepreneur is someone whose content is working. Like, you're getting engagement, you're getting some likes, you're getting people responding, you're making some sales, but there is a massive disconnect between your content and the amount of sales that you have. Like, your content doing really good, but your sales are not. They're not consistent. They're not any, like, you're not able to scale them. Traction entrepreneur is the next level. And that's what this episode's all about. It's all about level number 4, which I call the traction entrepreneur. And the symptoms of this is that you may be, for the first time, you're experiencing sales coming in fairly consistently. Like, you're probably $100,000 a year, maybe $250,000, maybe a little bit more, but it's fairly consistent. It's not totally consistent, but it's fairly consistent. So you might have like a $10,000 month, then a 20, then like an 8. And then like a 17, like it's sort of consistent, but not really. You're likely still underneath that $250 a year in revenue, because a lot of your sales are generally going to be generated through hustling or big efforts, like big launches or big promotions, or a lot of like one-on-one sales calls. Maybe you even have some small launches, but it's nothing that you can really scale. You're still kind of figuring out the messaging. People are kind of coming to you because you're a little bit different, but sales really are a struggle. Like, there's no comfortability when it comes to sales. Like, right now inside of my business, it's pretty comfortable as far as projections go. Like, we know how much is coming in relatively. I know what our payment plans look like. I know how much our launches are generally going to produce. I know what our expenses are. It's not generally, it's generally comfortable. I don't have these big worries and stuff because our efforts aren't generally from big, huge, complicated, push a boulder up a hill type of things. They're very easy and seamless. Like, when we go make an offer, we get sales coming in. We have people waiting for offers. We have people on our wait list. We have audience who's been following us for a while, and they're here because of my messaging, because of what I'm saying and teaching. You don't have that if you're the traction entrepreneur, even though you have sales. Now, you're also not able to spend more money or go bigger next time in order to generate more sales. If you're the traction entrepreneur, you basically can't add more fuel to the fire and get something bigger. Like, if you spent $10,000 on ads and I said, hey, here's $100,000, go turn that $100,000 into something profitable, you might not be able to do it. You don't know how to go bigger next time. You don't know what a big, huge, effortless launch looks like. You likely haven't mastered converting cold traffic yet. So you're still kind of like trying to figure out that game of cold traffic. Your messaging is good, but it's not great. It's okay. And although you have traction, your business probably still feels like a grind. Like it still feels like it's heavy. It still feels like it's a big grind. It still feels like you're having to work hard in order to keep what you have going. Like you might even look at someone who has a $2 million business and going like, man, their effort is way less than mine, but they're making 10 times more revenue than me. And you might be making like 200, 300, sometimes even 400 or 500, and you're just pushing really effing hard. It's because your messaging hasn't evolved to a level that makes it effortless yet. And so your messaging and content, it seems to resonate, it seems to convert, but it also takes a really big effort for you to close sales. So you're like on the brink. Like if you're at level 4, you're on the brink of hitting that next level where you have systems and processes and people know who you are and they want to buy before you even like sell or pitch anything. Now, here's the reason why this happens. The reason why this happens is because at level 3, you start to focus more on demand creation. So when you're getting eyeballs on you, you're keeping the eyeballs on you, and you start to focus on demand creation, you actually will create more demand, but it's like the baby step of demand creation. You've started to churn that wheel so the gears start moving, but you're not out of the weeds yet. Like it's not a systemized thing that's really working yet. Your messaging slowly kind of improving. But you're probably still focusing too much on the teaching. Like when you get on a webinar, you're teaching at least 50% of the content is teaching instead of demand creation. You haven't really made a name for yourself yet or your method, which means people are still coming to you because they want your knowledge or skill instead of your IP, work, unique solution, or method. I want to make that very clear. If you are a traction entrepreneur, people are coming to you because they think you might be the best expert in your space, or they may be coming to you for your expertise, but they likely aren't saying, hey, you created this method or this philosophy or this thing. I'm coming to you for this. They haven't said, I love your work. I love your contribution to this space. They likely aren't using that lingo yet. And they may know that you have a unique solution. Like they may know like, okay, person X, Y, and Z does have a method, but their method really is just more of this expertise. They don't even if you have a method, they don't see your method as something that's revolutionary or changing the game. It's just a reiteration or regurgitation of something that already exists. It just has different names on it now. This may also be happening because you have not been getting specific enough in your marketing so that people feel you have the solution to their suffering. You may be too generalized, hoping that the benefits you list or the info you give is enough for people to want more. Getting specifically accurate is a result of having mastery. When you can specifically describe pain points, emotions, mistakes people are making, and multiple solutions, people's subconscious mind goes, that person automatically has the answer. Like there's only one way to know something that deep, and that's to have mastery over your craft. Because you've had a lack of mastery over your craft or your unique solution, or a lack of focus on discovering new things that haven't been discovered yet, that keeps you trapped at the traction entrepreneur. Because when you have those focuses, you're able to go deeper and more specific. It's kind of like the example I gave in one of our episodes. Like if you were trapped in a bottom, like a big hole in the ground, and someone said, hey, just be very careful. You want to go upwards, and you want to grab like the rocks that are kind of jutting out and pull yourself up, but be careful, they might fall out. I believe in you. You got this. Or there's a second person who said, hey, take your left foot, put it 3 feet up. You're going to see a little sliver. Stick your foot into that sliver. Then you're going to grab this gray looking rock with your right hand. That's about 5 feet up from that little sliver you put your hand in. Put your right hand there. Then you're actually going to move 3 feet to the right, sideways in the hole, which is going to bring you to an area that's really sandy. You're going to dig holes out of the mountain and then stick your hands. You can build stairs, stick your hands into the sand in your feet, into the stairs that you build. And then at the very last final piece, you're going to see a root sticking out. You want to grab that root and climb up it like a rope to the very top. Like those are the two people you're getting advice from. The traction entrepreneur is person number one. Very generalized, very much like, you got this, just do the basic things like grab the rocks and pull yourself up. Like, thanks, like I could have figured that out on my own. Or you had person number two, which is the person who has mastery, and they have mastery because they've gone up and down that thing 30 different times. And they know exactly what you need to do. And they describe it so specifically that there's no doubt your subconscious mind goes, they know what to do. Like, I'm looking and there is a sand pit there. There is a root at the top. This person knows exactly, I'm going to trust that person. The traction entrepreneur hasn't hit that level of messaging yet. Although you are an expert and you can help people, and you are getting sales, the reason why you're not consistent in converting cold traffic is because there's still another layer or deepness or depth that you have to go through with your messaging. So some of the beliefs that you may have at this level is that you are here and you're at this level and you likely know that you can go deeper. You likely know you're a little bit generalized. You likely know that you are saying the same thing as everyone else and you want to go deeper, but you don't think you can, or you feel like you can't spend much time to do it. And it's because in order to keep producing that 200, 300, 400, or 500,000 or wherever, or even 100,000 level you're at, it takes so much of your energy and effort and time that you're focusing just on maintaining the sales that you're generating now, that you can't create the space to go deeper with your messaging. And that's a problem. In order to have mastery over your craft, you actually have to start focusing on building a real business. Systems, processes, teams, letting go, removing things out. Like a lot of the traction entrepreneurs are stuck here not because they don't know what to do, but it's because they haven't built a business that allows them to do the things to go focus on mastery. When we look at Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, Brene Brown, Mel Robbins, all the same people I always mention, but like basically any thought leader, they all have a systemized business around what they do that creates space for them to focus just on messaging, content, their IP, things like that. You likely are comfortable and you might even be happy with your business because you're making money, you're making sales, but you know there's much more to accomplish and you feel like there's something missing, but you just can't put your finger on it. And what is really missing is that depth in your messaging. Okay. So you likely are deeper into the program, in our program by now, if you have been going through our program. You do have things in action. You may be on your second or even third round of the program if you're at this level, but you're still likely within the first year or two of the program. And so level 4 is a great place to be, but level 5 and 6 is really where we want to be. And I would say most people who are not inside of our program, which is actually called the New Generation Mastery Program, like that's what we're calling it, New Generation Mastery. If you are not in the program, you're likely at level 1, which is the unheard entrepreneur, maybe level 2. If you've been in the program for a few months, you're probably at level 2 or 3. And if you've been in the program for 6 months to even a year or two, you're probably at like level number 4. Again, it all depends, but that's relatively where people are going to be. So level 4, in order to get out of level 4, you might need to systemize some things in your business, but really at the end of the day, you need to create more space for focusing on sitting in the silence, remembering who you are. You need to go deeper inside of your messaging. One of the ways that I teach that is, how do you say X, Y, and Z without saying X, Y, and Z? Like, if your copy in your messaging says, are you overwhelmed? How do you say you are overwhelmed without saying you are overwhelmed? You describe it, right? What are they doing? What are they experiencing? How are they feeling? Don't use the word overwhelmed. You start describing those things. It's how do you say it without saying the word? So how do you say you're overwhelmed without saying you're overwhelmed? That's an exercise you can go through to break out of this trap. But really it's about getting specific. You're going to have to start getting specific and focusing more on a mastery of your craft. So that's it for level number 4. If you are here, start focusing on going deeper, start focusing more on your demand creation, start focusing on getting really specific. And with that said, let's move on to the last and final episode, which should be coming out soon. So I'll see you at level number 5.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested, and thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.